Welcome back to Stories from My Life. We left off with my story about meeting Susan, uh, waiting 2 years for her to mature. The joke in that, by the way, is that I'm still waiting. 2 years later, we went back and we had our first date, and the rest is history. I I wanted to tell you though that we're dating at Cornell, and I'm still sitting with this secret, this issue of having learned that I was adopted. The first story I told you, learning that I was adopted at the age of 19. It's it's heavy for me. This whole issue of who am I and what's real and what 19-year-old isn't trying to figure out who they are. And I was having extra homework, and it was not something I could share with people. It was not. It was just this heavy weight that I was struggling with, and there's we'll get to another story associated with that weight, but Susan and I, the relationship is getting serious, and I think to myself, I have to tell Susan. I told her, I said, Susan, I have something really heavy to tell you. Let's go to dinner tonight, and I really have something heavy to tell you. Drove her crazy all afternoon. She's thinking diabetes, cancer, something. Something's got to be wrong. She had dealt with someone that was diabetic, and that was one of the biggest things she was expecting. Perhaps I was going to tell her I was gay. She didn't know what to expect, and drove her crazy. And we go out to dinner that night. We barely sit down. She says to me, "So what is it already?" And I looked at her right in the eye, very seriously, and I said, Susan, I'm adopted. And she looked at me and said, that's it? It was heavy for me. She was virtually the first person I was telling. It was 2 years after finding out. I hadn't discussed it with anyone, hadn't asked anyone for help. And when she said that's it was like a balloon letting out its air. It was like, you mean it's not heavy? And then the next thing out of her mouth was truly classic. Anyone knows Susan, you can visualize her saying this. She says to me, that means if we were to have children, they can't look like your mother. Yes. This went from heavy news to now, not that my mother was bad looking, she wasn't my biological mother. She was 4'11". This was that I'm 6'1". My father was 5'5". They had to sit me down for all the family pictures. How did I not know I was adopted? This went from heavy news to the best news she could possibly imagine. She thought it was fascinating. She was on board immediately, and really, what I want to tell you, kind of the teaching of this story, is that we sit with these heavy secrets. We sit with things that we can't tell someone. We sit with things that we might be embarrassed about, or we sit with things that we don't want to ask someone for help for. Like we might be bothering them, or they won't understand anyway. It is so powerful to ask for help. It is so powerful to share a problem with someone. It unloads this incredible weight. The chances are the reaction is not what you're expecting. You're building it up into some heavy, they're not going to like you reaction. And that's not the case at all. People want to help us, want to help each other. It feels good to help others. It's so powerful to unload. And that set Susan and I on a journey of discovery. She got on board. She's one of her jokes was, "I wish she was adopted because it's so interesting." There are lots of stories that are going to follow from this, um, and that was how I told Susan. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't hold those secrets in. They just weigh you down. You'll be relieved. You'll get the help you need. Ask. Have a great day. Blessings to all.